There are two types of people in the world: those that join in on big things and those that build big things. Kevin Systrom was the latter. He almost got hired working on Facebook, but ended up going his own way, only to make it back to Zuckerberg, who bought his company. Wondering which company might that be? It's Instagram. And in this video, we're going to take you through the journey of Systrom and how he got it off the ground to where it is now. The time before the beginning. Kevin Systrom had been in the tech industry before it was a major industry. After graduating from Stanford University in the early 2000s, he worked at a bunch of startups: Nextstop, Google, and even Odeo, the company that evolved into Twitter a few years down the line. Now, the crazy thing here is that Kevin wasn't trained in computer science. He chose to take special classes on the side, so he could learn how to code just because he realized he was interested in the field and wanted to put in the work for it. During that time, he was offered a job at Facebook, but turned it down because he didn't think he was the right fit. He ended up pausing to take a photography course in Italy just to brush up on a passion he had left behind. Eventually, he had garnered enough skill from his multiple ventures that he knew he was in the right space to do something with it. The only question was, what would it be? The initial idea: bourbon. Now that Kevin knew that he wanted to do something in the tech startup space, he was brainstorming ideas about what that could potentially look like. The best place to start whenever you're trying to start a new business or venture in general is to start with what you're passionate about. Kevin had a few key passions: traveling, bourbon, photography, and tech. So he decided that it was time he put all of those together into one package. And with that, Bourbon was born. Bourbon was an app where people could check in anywhere in the world and post photos at that location, usually related to the drinks they were having, but it wasn't just limited to that. They'd be able to connect with their friends and other people that were posting in those locations too, and with all the sharing, gain rewards too. But the problem was, not everyone was into the whole check-in idea. After realizing that the users weren't growing, Kevin asked the users, "What do you like about the app, and what do you not care much about?" Turns out, most people were just using the app for the photo sharing aspect, not because of the check-ins, which were the main selling point of the app. It was clear that the check-in niche wasn't for Kevin, and he had to pivot to something different. Something that focused on what the people wanted: photos. The birth of Instagram. The people had spoken. They wanted an app that allowed them to instantly share photos with the internet. At that point, there was no other app that was focusing on just photos. Sure, you had Facebook and Twitter, but those were an all-in-one type of deal. You had words, photos, and videos in one, but there wasn't anything that focused on just one thing. So Kevin had found his vacuum, and he was going to fill it. He immediately decided to redo Bourbon entirely, shifting the focus from check-ins to photos, which had the option of checking in if you wanted to. It might seem like a slight change paired with some design upgrades, but it made an insane amount of difference. At this point, Kevin had to hone his skills. Now that the app was all about the photos, he needed to create a space where people would want to post. But there's a problem with that. Most people just don't feel confident enough in their photography skills to put themselves out there like that. Now, you can't just go on to convince every single person individually that their photos can be great too. But Kevin realized that he could provide them with a basic set of tools to help them refine their photos a little bit. That's something he was able to do because of that little photography course he had taken in Italy. He created a bunch of filters that users could just slap onto the photos with one click and take their captures from basic to super interesting. After working on their ideas for about 8 weeks, Kevin and his business partner, Mike Krieger, were able to launch their new app, Instagram, on the 6th of October 2010. The odd one out. Usually when you start up, there's a bit of a learning curve. You have to get people interested in trying out what you're creating. They don't come to you 9 times out of 10. You have to be the one to go to them if you even want a chance at success. Kevin had already experienced that with Bourbon, so let's just say that the launch of Instagram was a bit nerve-wracking for him. Well, Instagram was that 10th, the odd one out. The surge of users didn't just come, Eventually, they came on the very first day. It was unbelievable. On launch day, they had 25,000 users. By the end of the month, they had hit 1 million users. It was clear that Instagram was going to be unstoppable. The initial kinks. Since no one in the world was expecting Instagram to just blow up the way it did, some problems were expected. When a system that was initially made to gradually get users to more and more people suddenly has 1 million, some things go wrong. Instagram would crash all the time, but even then, people kept flocking to the unique platform. Every time a user shared their post from Instagram to Twitter or Facebook, more people joined the platform. The wave was intense, and because of it, it was important to figure out the problems. Before they could do that, though, celebrities started joining in, and with them, all of their fans. Throughout all of this, Instagram's official team was a handful of people, starting with 4 people, including Kevin and Mike, making its way up to 13. 13 people running what was suddenly one of the biggest platforms on the internet as a whole. A life-changing experience. Even though Kevin's success was in his professional life, it boosted him too. He went from being the passionate guy that just wanted to build something unique to the guy that all the celebrities knew about. Half the time, he'd be talking to big personalities like Ariana Grande and not even know their names. It was crazy. Instagram had grown so much that Kevin's entire life was turned upside down, and eventually, he began to struggle to keep up with it. This was around the time that Jack Dorsey reached out to Kevin again, after being out of touch since their Odeo days, and offered to buy Instagram. He had offered around $500 million, but Kevin decided against the idea, saying that he wanted Instagram to be so expensive it would be unattainable. This was shocking because around this time, Instagram wasn't making a lot of money. Sure, people on the platform were able to get sponsors, but the app itself was still relying on investors. But then came another offer, one that knocked Kevin off his feet. Mark Zuckerberg, the man that had offered Kevin a job at Facebook before it was the giant that it is today, called him up and told him that he wanted to buy Instagram too. Now, Kevin already had a $500 million offer on the table, one that was pretty good. But Zuckerberg doesn't come to play when he wants something. So he beat that offer tenfold and offered Kevin $1 billion for Instagram. This was an offer that Kevin simply couldn't refuse. He knew that because of how big Facebook was at that point, it was only a matter of time before they destroyed Instagram anyway. So why stand against the giant when you can have them lift you on their shoulders? Plus, there were $1 billion on the table. To make it even better, Zuckerberg told Kevin that he'd still be able to run Instagram as he had been all that time, just with the resources that Facebook had built up over the years. It was the perfect grounds for Instagram to get bigger than anyone could have ever imagined. So Kevin took the plunge and signed the deal. With Zuckerberg, Kevin was able to take Instagram to new heights, and today the app is officially one of the biggest platforms in the world. One that has revolutionized the way we share content and has led to people building careers online. All because Kevin didn't want to follow the grain and wanted to create something unique of his own. And on that note, we'll wrap up today's video. Did you know about Instagram's crazy journey to success? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos just like this. We'll see you at the next one.